Hello everyone, welcome back to the Drive Guide. Today you join me in the INFINITI Q50. Here we have the Red Sport 400. This is the sport sedan version, and right now the hottest INFINITI product alongside the Q60 Red Sport 400. This is a car that I personally have a lot of conflict with. There's some things in here that impress me and some other things that really don't. So what we're going to do is break this car down to the best of my ability, and at the end of this video I'll place it in my ranking system to see how it compares against other sports sedans, but also other compact executive sedans as well. Now, this video wouldn't be possible without the help of the INFINITI Gallery and the Delari group that have lent this car out to me for the weekend so I could play around with it. All of their information is linked down below. First thing I want to address before we get into this review, I'm driving the 2019 model here in this video, but the 2020 should be showing up at the dealerships very, very soon. The real difference when it comes to this car and the upcoming 2020 is the infotainment system. The 2020 models will be getting Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as standard equipment. I have seen that people have been able to retrofit Apple CarPlay into these systems, but currently I don't know if that is a dealership fix or something that the aftermarket has provided. So let's get away from that and talk about what I'm driving today. The Red Sport 400 has a 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque, twin turbocharged 3-litre V6 with all-wheel drive. Red Sport is currently the most powerful, the most aggressive version of an INFINITI product that you can find in the Q50 and the Q60 as well. The Q50 is a compact sedan, so that is competing against BMW 3 Series, Audi A4, Mercedes C-Class, all of that kind of stuff that we're all very familiar with, and what is still regarded as perhaps one of the most competitive segments in the entire car industry. So what do I like about the Red Sport? Well, the engine is really quite impressive. That 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque is the same engine that you can find in the regular Q50, but they have significantly increased the boost of what the turbochargers produce and changed around the intercoolers. That's what gets the additional 100 horsepower for this Red Sport model. It goes from 9.5 psi in the standard model all the way up to 14.7 psi in this one. Turbo lag is honestly non-existent. When you put your foot down, you'll just hear this bellow from the engine that seems quite distant. It isn't a loud engine. It isn't an invasion on your ears, but it properly is quick. It's mated to a 7-speed automatic transmission, and here in the Red Sport you get these chunky paddles that are mounted onto the steering wheel. When you're in manual driving mode, and I'll go into Sport Plus here, this is one of the first problems that comes along, is that there is quite a delay with shifts, okay? So the computer has put me in 4th, now I'm going to go in 5th. Here's me going to click on the paddle, and then I'll snap when the gear is actually changed. It's far from the fastest when it comes to upshifting, and downshifting it largely doesn't like listening to you. Although I like the physical interaction with these paddles, they don't provide the responsiveness that I'm looking for in a manual shifting mode, especially when it comes to a sports sedan. But when you take this car out of Sport Plus or Sport Mode, I'm going to get back to that in a minute, and you just leave this car to its own devices in automatic, and let's just go back into standard mode. Very relaxed, you'd never notice it interrupting the power. It's a transmission that is best left alone, but in a sports sedan, I think that's quite a bit of a problem. Another quite significant thing when it comes to the Q50 is the steer-by-wire system. When this first came out in the 2014 model, there was quite a lot of controversy towards it. I know a lot of journalists did not like it, but customers didn't have a particular problem with it. This is my first experience with the system, and in case you don't know, steer-by-wire offers absolutely no physical connection to the front wheels. Why is this a good thing in the eyes of Infiniti and its customers? Well, that means that the computer is taking control of all the parameters, understanding the road surfaces so that it relates to less driver input. In a luxury car, that would be quite nice. You go down the highway and you don't have to think about the minute steering corrections that you'll have to do during crosswinds or just unsettling pavement. And honestly, it works in that area very well. The computer is analyzing 1,000 times per second, and when you go on long highway cruise, you can take your hands off of the wheel and notice just how stable it is and have absolutely no interruption from the road at all. To me, this system offers a very good thing for long highway driving. When you engage the Pro Pilot Assist, you'll see that following the lines on the road, the car will crab slightly, just as it continues to read the road surfaces as you go through smooth and calm transitions and left and right without the steering wheel moving. It's quite a strange thing. Due to this, you can really take your hands off of the steering wheel for a long time on Pro Pilot Assist highway driving, and there's never an intervention. I took my hands off of the wheel for a good 2 minutes and there was no alert, although when it came to sharper turns on the highway, I had to take control of the steering wheel again because either the computer wasn't reading the lines or it just couldn't react quickly enough to keep me in lane. But let's talk about a real problem I have with this steering. All right, I'm gonna turn off just into a gas station here. This looks like as good of an opportunity as any. I want you to really pay attention to the steering wheel here. I am going to go over here and just try a U-turn. Point me in the other direction, because honestly, the first time this happened, I thought I'd broken the car. Here we go. So I'm turning the wheel. I'm approaching what I believe is lock. Steering is weighted up, right? This happens. First time this happened to me, I honestly thought I'd broken the car. Look at this transition between quite a smooth, just expected of an electric power system, and then I don't know what this is. This is a horrible feeling, and I think this could be quite a scary thing if it isn't explained to new customers of the car. I honestly thought I'd broken some component in the steering system. It's awful. The worst part about it is that it happens every time you reach steering lock. So the steering offers a system that I think luxury car buyers would be looking for. As like I said, it works very well on long highway cruises where you're not looking for involvement. But in a sports sedan, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. It's unsettling. That's the best word I can use for this. The pre-tensioning seat belts. So they're in an emergency braking situation. Let's go past this intersection so the poor members of the public don't have to deal with the information I provide to you. So here we go, emergency brake. The seat belt tightens all the way around you. Good if you're about to get into a crash. But the problems I have experienced is when I wanted to push this car a little harder and I was going up a bit of a mountain road, that hard acceleration and that hard braking was engaging this tensioning seatbelt, and because of the repetitive hard braking and hard acceleration, it didn't let go. I was stuck into the back of my seat. And for a sports sedan, God forbid you take this thing on a racetrack where you really are trying to push its limits, you'll be strangled halfway through your lap. So the driving experience, in my opinion, is quite flawed, and it doesn't get much better from here. The INFINITI Q50 does feel like an older car in this segment, with all of its competition either in brand new generations or going through significant midlife updates for the 2020 model year. Although I like the interior, and here with this Red Sport model, the leather seats and other leather surfaces are very rich and well put together. The touchscreens are 2 generations old. They're slow. They don't, here in this model, offer Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. And just in comparing to the latest of what BMW and Audi offers, if anybody really cares about this sort of technology, they would never end up in this car. There's a little bit of piano black plastic, not too much, but still enough to show the scratches, like this tiny little compartment that you have by your 12-volt power outlet. Looking behind me, visibility is fantastic back there. It gives you the opportunity to see all of the beautiful stitching and the quilting that's in the front and in the rear seats. Although this is the best Infiniti interior I think I've been in, it's still a ways away from what the Germans are currently doing with all of their compact sedans. There's not too many hard plastics, just really on the bottom of the door cards is where I can really find problems, but this concave leather glove box portion on the passenger side is something we see quite a lot of in the Infiniti products, and this is faux leather, where it seems like one of the largest surfaces in the car, and it really should be leather. Here's another weird thing I've experienced with this Infiniti. I don't know if I had this problem in the other cars, or maybe I just never noticed it, but when I've got my phone set up with the USB plugged in, look at what happens when I go up and down with the skip track. It doesn't do anything different. Up or down doesn't mean anything. These switches are more disobedient than a child suffering a horrible temper tantrum. It's a weird problem. Is it the end of the world? Hardly, but it gives me the opportunity to talk about the new Drive Guide Open Collaborative playlist on Spotify. If you've got some music that you love listening to whilst you're driving, I'd love it if you put a couple songs onto that playlist, and then I can listen to the kind of music you guys listen to, because I spend a lot of time driving, kind of getting bored of my music, would love some new suggestions. So that link is found in the description box below. My favorite thing about the Q50 really might be its seats. The leather is great, manual thigh support, and with this model we have the side bolsters that can tighten or loosen around your body. Again, comparing to other compact sedans, Q50 is quite noisy on the highway, a lot of wind noise that I can feel rushing over the body and over the wing mirrors here. For rear comfort, I struggle to sit behind myself. I'm 6'4", and finding my perfect driving position isn't too much of a problem up front, even though I will say I think I'm sitting a bit too high. I can't get the seat as low as I'd like, but sitting behind myself, best reserved for 2 adults. There's a chunky drivetrain hump, and that middle seat is elevated and quite hard in comparison to the outboarding seats. So fold down that center armrest, see that ski pass through, and use it just for that. Don't use this Q50 as a people hauler. Trunk space is good. Again, you have a ski pass through, no spare tire underneath that false floor, but you are able to drop those seats 60-40 with some little pulleys that are in the trunk space. So how I want to conclude my thoughts on the Q50 is, it isn't a sports sedan. It's got the power of a sports sedan, and when you put your foot down, you move very quickly. But a sports sedan is meant to be more than just a good chunk of power under the bonnet. It's got to be communicative with the steering, which it isn't. The transmission's got to be engaging, which it isn't. And I don't see it fulfilling that category very well. As a regular compact sedan with a bit more power, yeah, it's all right. But at the end of the day, if you're looking for a sports sedan, shop elsewhere. And so that wraps up everything that I want to say about the 2019 Infiniti Q50 Red Sport 400. This car is deeply flawed. It has a lot of things that, if I was buying in this segment, would immediately turn me away. The touchscreens, for example, the general lack of feeling like it's the latest and greatest in this segment and what the car industry can do. But with all of the problems that I've faced in my time with this Infiniti, I find it quite a difficult car to recommend. And that's why I would say, if you're looking for any kind of sports sedan, take a look at the Red Sport 400. It might offer some immediate thrills, but for long-term enjoyment, for daily usability and stress-free input with something like those touchscreens, I don't know how well that's going to serve you throughout time. And so that's been everything from me. Many thanks again go off to Infinity Gallery in the Northwest Auto Mall in Calgary and the Dilari Group that gave me this vehicle for the weekend so I could have some fun with it. All of their information is linked down below. And of course, if you wouldn't mind liking the video and sharing it and commenting, that would really mean a lot to me as well. I'm so close to 10,000 subscribers, so why not hit that red button just down below too? Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you again soon.